to another episode of Storm Surge Carolina Hurricanes podcast on the Believe Network. I'm Taylor. I'm your host. I'm here with Dylan and Spencer, and we obviously have a very special guest with us again tonight, assistant coach Jeff Daniels. We're glad to have him here. We'd like to thank our sponsors, Palace Point and RCE Theaters and Chase Given Music. So we're just going to ask Coach a bunch of questions, and then hopefully this won't be the last time we have him. And if you've got any questions for him, you can send them over, and we'll ask him next time. But so first, Coach, we just wanted to ask. We had no clue until Tripp mentioned on the broadcast the other night your hand injury, and that was obviously pretty scary. Can you tell us just more about that and what happened and how you're doing?
Yeah, well, thanks. I'm doing good. It was kind of a freak accident at practice. I think it was a week ago today, just before we were leaving for Winnipeg. We were doing a drill. I was acting as a kind of a linesman, dropping a puck for a power play situation, and there was the puck was kind of laying there, and there was kind of collision, and a skate kind of came up from behind me as I was kind of moving my hand out of the way, and it sliced the tendon, sliced through the bone of my right hand index finger. So I kind of obviously went to the doctors right away, and they knew I had to catch a 2:00 flight, so they kind of wrapped me up and kind of. I got on the plane and went on the trip, and then Friday morning I had the surgery at Friday morning, then back at it Saturday. So it's right now. I'm limited with my right hand. What I can do, it's in a kind of a cast thingamajig with which I can take off now, so it's better than it was. But it's still, I'm limited for the next couple of weeks until it kind of hopefully heals up.
Gotcha.
Sounds like hockey coaches are tougher than soccer players.
Yeah, I was like, man, any other sport, that's a season-ending injury.
Yeah, I know. It's frustrating. Like I said, it's just I'm right-handed, and it's my right hand, and then just really realize, and then trying to sign some stuff I had to sign over the last couple of days. I couldn't do that, and but again, it is what it is, and I'll be fine the next couple of weeks, hopefully.
Good.
Is that your worst hockey-related injury you've had?
Well, I think as a coach, I think that was. Well, I had a couple of years ago. I had this was another freak accident. We were kind of beating around before practice started. And a player, I'm not going to name his name, but took a shot off the crossbar, and I was just skating away from the net. It hit the crossbar and flew all the way to the far blue line as I was skating, and it hit me on top of the head. And I ended up with, I think, 4 staples in my head.
Oh, man.
So it was,
shot that hard off the crossbar. Sounds like Brent Burns, but I don't know if it was recent enough for that.
That's the only clue I'll give you. It wasn't him, but coaches related injuries I've had, things you're not expecting to happen, and then all of a sudden they happen, but it's I'm fortunate. It's not that big of a deal.
So the players, they giving you a fruit basket or anything just as an apology?
No, they're not. Like I said, both guys that I know who, that one and the skate, again, I'm not blaming anyone. They
right.
feel bad, and I try not to even talk about it because I don't want them to feel bad, because I know it was, like I said, a freak accident that was out of their control. So I don't even kind of bring it up to them. And I know they kind of felt bad about it, but we got to move on from it.
Yeah. Understood. Well, we'll move on too. We're just glad you're okay. All right. So next up, so we do obviously big, huge Hurricanes news was the trade for Mikko Rantanen. I know that's got to be a huge transition, and especially losing Necas and Drury. Those were big guys in the locker room, but then Rantanen's a big, just seems like big personality. I mean, not bad, but big personality in there as well. So, how has that affected the team? Just all that transition.
Well, it's bittersweet. I think, as you said, we lost two players that were good players, good character guys, good guys in the locker room, guys that everyone got along with. But when you make a trade of that magnitude, you're going to lose some good players, and that's what we did in Jack and Netchie that were great Hurricanes for us. And then we got Mikko coming in, who been at a certain spot for a long period of time, and there's always that adjustment period of a player. That first time you get traded, especially when you've been at Colorado for that long. I look back to a few years ago when we traded for Trocheck, and there was a period there where it took him 15, 20 games to kind of get situated because hockey is hockey, but just like the mental part of it, the routine stuff where you're sitting in a certain area, you come out at a certain time in the locker room, and on ice warm up, you have your routine. Maybe someone else has the same routine. All of a sudden, you're sharing. This is the little things that people don't think about, and it's an adjustment period. But he's obviously he's been a great player throughout his career. I think he's a big body that we kind of needed up front. I think we had a lot of skill forwards that maybe a little smaller, and then now we added another bigger forward that kind of him and Svetch are kind of the two big power forwards we had up there to kind of combine with the Aho and the Jarvis and the Blake are the other skill players. So it was as I said, it was bittersweet. Excited to have him, but there's always that you're sorry to see some guys leave that you built relationships with as a coach, and also as I said, they were great Hurricanes.
Yeah, which Mikko really is. He's a monster, man. I was at the Chicago game a couple weeks ago, and it just there's a lot of big guys, but he just looked like a giant on the ice. It was pretty awesome. I'm glad to see him in red now instead of opposing.
Yeah, I know. It's like I said, we're excited to have him. I think it's an element that we needed up front, a little more size that has skill. And like I said, there's been that adjustment period that we kind of expected going into this, but we expect coming out of this break, hopefully that he can hit his stride and kind of take off from there.
Yeah. So how involved do you get to be with those talks behind the scenes and in potential trades? And like, did you even know that was coming or had a shot?
There was rumors going around. End of the day, it's between management and Roddy. But Roddy does a good job of kind of letting them know, this might be going on, whatever. But all of a sudden, I think we all got caught off guard because I remember we were in Long Island and the coaches went out for dinner and everything was good. And we got back to the hotel around 7 o'clock and everything was quiet. And all of a sudden the phone started buzzing around about, an hour later. And all of a sudden the trade went down. And so we were kind of caught off guard a little bit. Again, we heard rumors, but yet all of a sudden to go down that quick and that fast, and all of a sudden two players are leaving. The next morning he's coming in, along with Taylor Hall too, and getting in for that game the next day against the Islanders.
So with a guy like Mikko Rantanen, obviously superstar type caliber player, over 100 points each of the last two seasons. I think top 4 in the league in scoring over the past 4. Can you kind of describe a bit what it is about him that makes him so special of an offensive talent?
Well, he has the size. He can protect the puck down low, off the cycle. And, we always say from the top of the circles down, he's pretty dangerous. And he's got the finish. Like he's like you said, his last couple of years, over 100 points. He's shown the ability to finish plays in around the net. And, that's probably been the one thing that we've struggled a little bit over the last few years. Kind of come crunch time, he's kind of getting that extra goal when needed. And now we're bringing another guy that has a track record of scoring goals and big goals, and hopefully it can translate for us down the stretch.
Yeah, my thought first half of this year, kind of something that was really missing from last year is like the Steph Nason style net front presence and that big body there. And so with what we know about Rantanen, I think he can definitely provide that, like you just kind of touched on. Something that kind of the opposite way to think of it, though, with his strong offensive skills and knowing that Rod's system is so defense first sort of focused, being strong on the back check and heavy on the forecheck. Do you think that there might be some adjustment time for him to get used to that, or do you think he can kind of fit in pretty seamlessly with the system?
Well, I think as I said earlier, there's going to be a little some time to work in a new system. Like I said, you bring these two, like I said, we also Taylor Hall there. You bring those guys in, you sit down with them for maybe 5-10 minutes before that first game and kind of throw everything at them. and they're kind of their head spinning. And at the end of the day, we just tell them go out and play. You've been in this league for X amount of years. You just play. As each day goes by, each practice goes by, we'll kind of grab you a little more and kind of really hammer home the system part of it. But just go out and play. The message is always, go out and make plays, do what you do best. But if the puck gets turned over, the message from Roddy is make sure we're hustling back to the D zone and working hard. And, he's always giving those guys a green light to make plays and be offensive. But it's a two-way street where, if something doesn't happen, we got to make sure we're on the hustle on the way back to the D zone.
Awesome. I'm going to come back to that basically similar question with you brought up Taylor Hall already, but last question on Rantanen. Can you tell us something about him that us as fans may not know? Just, what he's like or, anything?
Be honest, not so much right now. Cause everyone we talk to say a great guy, a great personality. Everyone loves him, but I think right now he's just kind of feeling his way. He's kind of coming in, not trying to rock the boat, just kind of, figure out how things work here. So I think as we go along, further in the season, I think his personality will come a little more. As I said, everyone I've talked to, nothing but rave reviews about this guy and the type of person he is. But I think right now he's just kind of, still the shock is still there. But I think as each day goes by, it'll get a little easier. And as that goes by, then his personality will come a little more. But he's the one thing that you do know is that he's a hardworking guy, just on the ice and off the ice. He's the guy in the weight room, and day of a game, after a game, non-game day, he's in there and he's got his routine that obviously he sticks to, and it works for him.
Awesome. All right, so then just back around to Taylor Hall. He's the first player selected in the draft overall to play in the Hurricanes franchise. What makes him attractive for the Canes system?
Well, I think he's got speed. As we talked earlier, he hopefully can provide some secondary scoring. He's coming into a situation where we don't need him to be the go-to guy. We have other guys that we kind of really lean on, but he can kind of fall into that secondary role where second unit power play, that second, third line, that, like I said, can add speed and hopefully the ability to finish around the net.
Cool. So just think you said second and third line. Maybe, we always talk about how the Canes, we really don't have numbered lines like everything. With Rantanen and Taylor Hall coming in, from an outside perspective, it feels like that may have a shift. Do you know if is that a long-term plan, or will there be a distinct first line potentially, or is it still going to be pretty similar?
Well, I think it's, I think you try to spread it out a little bit. Like I said, I think, with Rantanen now, like we talked earlier about having that size on one line, now you can put Svetch on another line. So now all of a sudden you get two lines with a big body, where some nights we put some of our three best skilled players and they're a little smaller, so now all of a sudden we got a bigger body on each of those lines. A lot of nights Jordan Staal might be our best line. Some nights, just from every consistent shift after shift, we know what they're going to do. They're going to be in the ill zone. They're going to grind you. They're going to cycle. It can always count on defensively. So, at home, we try to match those guys against the other team's top line, which frees up the Aho and the Blake and the Jarvis and those guys to hopefully a better matchup in our home games.
Cool. So also just from a fan perspective, I think we somewhat expected to see Mikko's ice time pretty similar to what he was playing in Colorado. Yeah. And that's been down, which obviously already my excuse and thought process is, but we've had sickness in the locker room. There's been, just that transition, a lot of that different stuff. Do you know, is there a plan for his ice time to go up? Because I know we've seen roughly around 16 minutes a night, and we just kind of
19.
19? Okay. Thank you. I know we just thought more like 21, 22. So that was one thing we wondered about.
Yeah, I think at some point, like I said, we're still trying to get the flow of the bench. Like you said, he was coming in, like you said, he's playing 24, 25 minutes some nights
Mm-hmm.
in Colorado. And part of that was due because, they've been hit hard with injuries. So they were really relying on those top two guys. And all of a sudden he's coming here and all of a sudden that 4 minutes probably seems, a big difference for him. So I think we recognize that we want to get him on the ice more. At the end of the day, you want to get your best players on the ice the best you can. Every game's different. Obviously, some of those games we're killing a lot of penalties, and all of a sudden now he doesn't kill penalties. So all of a sudden there's 3 minutes of ice time some nights that he's missing out on. Same thing with power play. All of a sudden, if we're not getting a lot of power plays, so every game's different. But I think we do recognize that he's probably at his best when he plays. He's involved in the game. We're trying to find that balance because we got some other guys that need to get on the ice too. So it's we always say it's great to have the depth in that, and sometimes with that comes headaches because now you're trying to balance out ice time, and all of a sudden someone else's ice time might drop by a minute or two, and so it's kind of a balancing act to make sure that everyone's on the same page, everyone's happy, and that kind of thing. But in the day, they got to make sure they're in it for the right reason, and if they got to sacrifice a minute or two for the better of the team, that's what it takes.
Cool. All right. So then with losing Necas and Drury, are there things that you've noticed that were missing with them already, or what? Just kind of their specialties that we may not necessarily have now.
Well, I mean, you look at Netchi. He could take over a game, right? He was a high end player that the first 22 games, I kind of felt like he carried us. He was playing at a high end, and I think Aho and Svetch and the guys and Jarvis was hurt for a stretch there. So the guys that we kind of relied on kind of got off to a slow start, and he just took off right from the get go. So he really carried us, and he's a high end skilled player that like I said can win the game by himself. Obviously, you always talk about overtime. He's dynamic in overtime. Jack is for me was very underrated. He might not show up in the stats or the analytics, but from a coaching staff, he was a guy that won big face-offs for us. Was good on the PK for us. Team first guy. He sacrificed his body to block shots. He broke his thumb doing that. So the little things, maybe not jump out to you, but as a coach, you kind of recognize and you kind of miss. With him gone, and we're a little, I don't want to say light, but our depth of our down the middle got a little weak with him gone now, and Josti out. So both players we missed. I mean, they both brought different elements to our team, and both guys that, for me personally, I can only say great things about.
I know last time we talked, you talked about how you really like working with the younger guys and helping with development and learning and growing and that sort of thing. Both of these guys, Necas and Drury, drafted and developed by the Canes in our system. So just from your perspective, what was it like to watch them go from draft picks to prospects to full-time NHLers?
Personally, it's always nice to see them take that step. Like I said, both guys were hard workers. They put the work in, not only during practice but after the practice. That they worked on their craft. So I got a chance to see them up close and see them kind of grow as players. And there's always a period of time as your first year player, and as each year goes by, you get more confident in the league. The game slows down a little bit for you. And I thought both those guys are taking that step, and I think going forward they'll just keep getting better.
Awesome. Dylan, I'm sorry we keep taking all the questions. Did you have anything you want to ask?
I was just thinking when you were asking what we were missing, I was not necessarily that we're missing speed because the whole team is pretty fast, but as someone who sees all these guys, ice level every day, Necas has to be the fastest guy in the NHL, right?
He's definitely right up there. I mean, the way he can wind it up and go through the middle of the ice, and the power play. He was a one man breakout. You just give him the puck, all of a sudden he dangles through, and all of a sudden you're all set up. So he's definitely one. You talk. Now all of a sudden he's playing with McKinnon, who is his quickness. When you see that live and up close, is pretty impressive. So then all of a sudden, those two guys on a line. I'm glad we're done with Colorado this year, but
Yeah.
dynamic pair right there.
Yeah, the two of them plus Makar in overtime's got to be brutal for anybody defending.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so then we want to talk about Jesperi Kotkaniemi some. We were a little disappointed that he wasn't invited to the Four Nations playoff. We just, he's another one of those that he's not always on the stat sheet, but we can see that he does great things for the team. Can you just describe his playing style and how it fits into Rod's system?
Yeah, I think with KK, I think he's at his best when he's using his size. He's a big body. He can be physical. And then with that big body, I think probably the last 10 games or so, a lot of his goals have come in around the net. So I think we really kind of stress him, getting to the net, using your size. He's got one of the better shots on our team. But he tends to probably think pass first as opposed to shooting first. So that's kind of another thing we've been kind of working with him. Just kind of, you got the shot, take it. And I think, as each game goes by, he's playing more, and I think he's went through a good stretch here the last 10 games where he was producing offensively, but also, again, he's a guy that responsible, kind of a Jordan Staal type, with a big body that can play against bigger teams and get shutdown role, but also provide some offense.
So you mentioned his play in the last several games. So he has 7 points over the last 7 games. Yep. What would you say is the biggest factor in his scoring streak?
As I said, I think it's just going in the net. I mean, I think not just him, but players have a tendency to kind of stay on the perimeter and kind of wait for the puck. And our system, the puck's going in the net. So if the puck's going there, you might as well go there. And that's what we've been stressing with him. The puck's going there, why not go there? So all of a sudden he's scoring some deflections in front of the net. Some are just go off his leg and in the net, but they all count. And drive the net backdoor, hit backdoor goals. So his is just like he's going the net more, and less on the perimeter, and kind of going those tougher areas where the majority of the goals are scored. Especially from second half on in the playoffs. That's where all the goals are going to end up being scored from.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right. So moving on to Jackson Blake, yep. Another pick turn prospect turn Hurricanes player. And what would you say has impressed you the most about his transition from the NCAA to NHL?
For me personally, what I've been most impressed with is a play from away from the puck. You knew coming in that he was, he's a puck skill guy. He can make plays. He can be a guy one-on-one. He can set you up. He can finish. That stuff we kind of knew. It was the question: can he play away from the puck? And for me, the commitment, especially the last month, he might be our best forward right now. Just the way he's, he's hounding the puck, he's producing, he's setting up plays, and then the commitment away from the puck, the back check, the hustle, the battling pucks out. We kind of, I don't want to say we eased him in at the start of the year. He's probably playing 10 to 12 minutes a night. Second, power play. Some injuries happened. We went through a little stretch here. Let's make some changes, and all of a sudden we moved him up to, I think, Aho line a couple nights there, and he's just kind of really taken off. And for me, he's kind of driven that line a little bit just because he's just he's so he's hungry. He wants to be there. He realizes this is his chance, and he wants to make sure he makes the most of it. And again, it's something that's not going unnoticed by our coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Spencer, did you have anything you want to ask?
Sure. You kind of touched on it there, but one of the questions that I had prepared was, what is it about his game that makes him a good fit for playing with Aho and Rantanen? And you kind of talked about his play away from the puck and his hunger and everything, but is there anything else kind of to it?
Just the ability to make plays. I think he's the type of guy that, I think he learned from the start of the year, like he always sees a play. Like in sometime it's a simple play that you might not see. You might want to pass through the guy instead of chipping it by the guy. But his mind's always thinking that there's a play to be made. And I think the first little while he kind of he got burnt on some turnovers, and now he's learned from that. So right away he's got a good hockey mind, hockey sense. But just like he said, now he's playing with those top two guys at times, and he's making plays for them. He's going the net. He does. He takes a smaller guy that takes a pounding at times, but he's fearless. He's kind of like Jarvis was his first couple of years. Right. He drove the net. He took some hits, but he kept going there. He wasn't going to back down, and it's good to see him get rewarded when you do those. You do enough right, good things right, and eventually you get rewarded, and that's what he's getting done right now.
Yeah, he's currently fourth among rookies in goals, which I mean, it's a pretty good list that he's on, and he's ahead of some real quality players.
And he's probably could have at least 5-6 more. Like the quality chances he gets every night, it's a credit to him. He might be our most skilled puck skill guy up front. With Netchi gone, like he's a high end skilled player with that puck, and he sees the ice really well. And for a first-year player to kind of come in and do what he's doing has been pretty impressive.
Would you see him more as like a sniper type role, or more of like a playmaker type role, or kind of hybrid?
Yeah, I'd go with that. I think we go back and forth. Like I said, he has the ability to beat the guy one-on-one. He has moves, like he can beat a goalie, but also, as I said earlier, he sees the ice well, and he has the ability to find that open guy. So I'd probably, if I'm guessing right now, it'll probably be a balance, kind of, like you said, a hybrid type of guy that, I think he's going to only keep producing more and more as each year goes by.
You can see the best play, and if the best play is a shot, he can make the shot.
Yeah,
basically.
Exactly. Yeah, and I just, you got to keep harping. If you beat the guy once, let's shoot the puck. You don't have to beat him again.
Right.
He's got so we just got to make sure he's shooting the puck, and which is, again, he's learning that, and like right from day one, his attitude's been great, and like I said, he's a hardworking kid that comes in, he's quiet, and he kind of knows his place, but yet, the guys know how hard he's working on the ice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and along those lines, it was nice too to see Brent Burns step up for him in that last game, even though he got the penalty out of it. But just the commitment to sticking up for teammate, especially for the smaller rookie.
That's always
hits like that don't go unanswered.
Yeah, it's obviously we're not that's not our game. The fighting up aspect of it, but I think we've shown if something happens, we'll get in there, and it was good to see Burnsy, who's been 20 plus years, and still making sure that we're not going to let that happen. So it was great to see.
Cool. All right. So then, so Ryan Suzuki, so he finally was able to have his NHL debut last month, and it was great to see him. But he's been it took a long, long road for him. Can you describe just what challenges there were to get him from across that path and finally to the NHL?
I think part of it was injuries. I think he battled some injuries, even coming out from junior. I think it was an eye injury, and then he had struggled with the back a little bit. And then it just kind of, get back up to speed and kind of find what he was going to be at the pro level. And then, like I said, there's competition. All of a sudden, Jack Drury's a centerman, and guys like that kind of, might have jumped ahead of him at certain spots. And to his credit, he stuck with it and kept working at it. And you just never know when your time's going to, come, and you just got to make sure you're ready for it. And, unfortunately for him, he had a tough travel day, his first NHL game. I don't think he got, maybe 10, 15 minutes before warm-up. Because it was a last minute thing, because that's when the flu bug was going around our team a little bit, and he got literally got there about 6 o'clock before 6:30 warm up. So it was a tough, not the ideal situation when you dream about your first NHL game. But on the flip side, it can be better because you don't have time to overthink, And I thought he came in and gave us. I think he played 2 games and gave us 2 good games.
Yeah.
Definitely liked what I saw from him in the 2 games that he was up, and he's been playing excellent in Chicago this year.
Yep.
I think some other things that might have impacted some of his development too were COVID shortened seasons, and then the lack of a full time AHL affiliate last year, kind of fighting for ice time over in Springfield, I believe it was, trying to make sure that he was actually able to play, and so. Being able to see him overcome those challenges has been really nice to see. I've been kind of excited about him for 5.5 years at this point to see when he came out. So
he was an all-star this year in the American Hockey League, and from everything we hear, he's been a leader for a young team in Chicago this year, and kind of been a go-to guy. So it's good for his confidence.
I did have. Before I ask a question about another player, did y'all have anything else you want to ask about Suzuki?
Just for those listeners of ours that might not know much about him, how would you describe Ryan Suzuki's play style?
He's another guy that sees the ice well. I think he's the guy that can slow the game down off the rush and kind of bring someone to him and has the ability to find that open guy. He does a good job in the power play down the American League level. It's tough, when you get called up to kind of all of a sudden jump in the power play if someone's not missing on the power play. But he's a guy that I think can provide some offense. He's a responsible player, pretty good on face-off. So it's just kind of a jack of all trades, so to speak. That again, he's just trying to get his foot in the door and kind of did that with 2 games, and hopefully at some point he gets another chance.
Yeah.
I guess one more question about Suzuki before I thought of another one. But what role do you see him being a good fit for the team?
Probably that's those third, fourth, bottom 6 forward. Maybe get second unit power play. Maybe kill some penalties, and a guy that can maybe move up if injuries happen. Right now, you look at our down the middle, you got Stahl, Aho, and KK. So it's, right now we're kind of set down the middle, but that 4th line spot is kind of with Jack on and Yossi been hurt, and we've kind of been using, Jaska there a little bit. Rozovic played a little bit of center. So there's a spot there if he can earn it.
Cool. So we didn't talk about this before, but I just thought about Scott Morrow. So he came up and played a couple games, but he did forego his participation in the AHL All-Star Weekend. Did he have any disappointment with that, or was he just super excited to be up in the NHL?
I'm assuming he was pretty excited to get, the All-Star game is great, but this is where you want to be,
right?
And you get an opportunity to come up and play a game. You're not going to turn that down. And I'm pretty sure he was on his way to Coachella, if not there before he had to turn around and come back to. That's where he met us. So it's it's All-Star game is was good for him for the get acknowledged to how well he played in the first half of the season, but I don't think you're going to turn down a call to come up and get
right.
Like I said, it's all about that opportunity, and one game might turn into 2, 3, 5 games, so you just want to make sure you take advantage of it. And he came in and he played pretty well for us.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Fellas, before we move on, any questions about other players or anything?
Nothing for me.
Dylan, I can't read your expression, so it's tough. All right, cool.
Coach has a question for Dylan that he's not wanting to ask. What kind of thinking about.
Coach, you can say what's wrong with him. That's almost a question per episode.
Yeah.
All right, so we did want to ask about the power play. So power play started off super strong at the beginning of the season, and it has gone the opposite direction as of late. What what made the power play so successful at the start of the year that we're not seeing now?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I think if we knew that answer, we wouldn't be in this situation. I think the first whatever games it was, I think we were second in the league in the power play. And all of a sudden, we went through a tough stretch where we couldn't do anything right. Jarvis got hurt, and then we traded Netchi, so you kind of get some moving pieces in there. Ghost was out for a stretch there; he missed some games, and he was the quarterback of the power play when things were going well. And you go through some ups and downs with the power play throughout the season, but this play stretch is probably longer than we would like. We scored a big goal our last game, and hopefully it's something we can build off of. Coming out of the stretch, but it's an area that we know that has to be a focus for us, and has the ability to win some games for us as it did in the first 20 plus games. But we gotta get back to where it was.
Has it gotten to the point yet where, with as many shorthanded goals as the team has scored lately, you're thinking, can we just take one of our guys off instead of one of their guys?
We almost kind of declined a couple. We didn't want to go on the power play, but obviously we've shown the ability to score some big shorthanded goals, and it'll come around. We got enough skill, and with Menton in there, we just got to try to find where he fits and everyone fits again. So it's an ongoing, something we don't take lightly. It's something we talked about in the office, coach's office all the time, because we know how important it is. That it has because the 5-5 game kind of evens out for the most part. It's those power play goals that kind of put you over the top.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I think we feel like is with the power play is just not getting the bounces, not having that puck luck. But so during those times, what do you normally try and tell players to correct that?
I was, again, some nights we didn't get the bounces, and some nights we just weren't good. I don't want to sugarcoat it, but it's it's tough, right? Because every game's different. You go into a game because every team kind of kills differently. So you have to do the pre-scout of kind of what to expect, and it goes right from the your power play breakout. What kind of pressure you're going to expect once you get in the zone. What to look for. So some nights we weren't getting bounces, and some nights our execution just wasn't good enough. And I think when we hold on to the puck too long, or we getting ourselves in trouble. I think now with teams the way they kill and a lot of pressure, you got to move the puck quick. And if you got the shot, you got to make sure we take it. And I think at times we tended to overpass the puck and try to look for that pretty play, that highlight goal that everyone sees every once in a while. You look at the goal the other night; it was just a pass over to Jarvie, and it was a one-time shot from up high, and it was a shot, and we had traffic in front, and it wasn't overly pretty. It was a great shot, but we got to get back to that shot mentality, both power play and 5-on-5.
Yep. Yeah, from my own professional eyes, that power play Saturday definitely looked like the passes were a lot more crisp, with some more speed to it, and also some better movement down low from those guys below the face-off dots and in front of the net. So kind of opening up those lanes, getting quick passes over, and like you said, being able to quickly shoot with that one-timer off the pass. It definitely looked better.
It's all about puck. You want to move the puck quick and try to get them out of position. And as you hold on it for too long, they're not moving. It makes their job easier. So he's got to make sure we move the puck quick. And as I said, he got the shot. We'll make sure we take it.
Yeah. So after giving a little more time for Rantanen to be acclimated, do you, I guess, how do you see him being able to help that power play?
Well, I guess he's got that finish, right? He can score goals. And I think depending on where we kind of put him, I think the puck gets to him. I think he's shown the ability in Colorado that he can score, whether it's from the half wall or in front of the net. So I think and he's had some good looks. Like he's had some good looks over a little stretch of games, and he's not had a lot of puck luck himself. And he's obviously pressing because he wants to get off to a good start. I think just kind of taking this break here and taking a step back and just breathe for a little bit, and then come back after the Four Nations, and hopefully he takes off from there.
How is he feeling, by the way, after blocking that shot a couple
Fine.
games ago?
Yeah, he obviously missed our last game, but
Mhm.
all indications he's good to go for this the Four Nations, and I'm not sure when
Awesome.
their first game is, but I think
I think they play Wednesday.
they play. Yeah, I think he's playing, or if not Wednesday, he'll play in the next game. But I think he's.
Nice.
We were never really concerned about it. It was more just kind of a maintenance thing.
Awesome.
Do you plan to watch as many of those games as you can, or
I think if I'm around, I'm going to watch them.
is it nice to take a break and step back?
Yeah, I think I'll be honest. I don't know this. I think Canada and U.S. might play Saturday. I could be wrong on that, but
that's the rivalry days Saturday.
I think that's the game I'm going to want to watch for sure. Obviously when we got players on 3 of the 4 teams, so you always want to see how they're doing, and the big question is how intense those games are going to be, and everything you read, it sounds like the players are excited to do it and play, and they want to prove a point and see kind of what country's the best, and so I think once the pucks drop, I think you're going to see the intensity kind of really pick up. I don't think it's going to be your typical, all-star game where it's kind of no hit, and I think his games will be pretty exciting. I hope so. I think that's what, and I think that Canada-U.S. game for sure will be. So that should be a fun one to watch.
I think that'll be the most exciting country matchup, but I think the most exciting player matchup is Jarvis versus Aho.
Yeah,
I remember when Jarvis was hurt.
Yeah,
when Jarvis was hurt, they did a behind-the-scenes thing where he said, "I want to see Fishy fight somebody," and he goes, "I want to fight Fishy." So I wonder if we'll get to see that. Doubt it.
Like those Finland-Sweden games they're pretty intense too. There's a big bit of a hatred there between those two countries when when the puck drops. So it'll be it should be fun to watch.
Oh yeah,
cool. All right, so going just to in-game adjustments. So they show us all the time after players watching on iPads, just reviewing stuff. We see them holding the iPad. We never see what they're seeing. So what kind of things are they normally seeing, and then how much do you assist in that, or do you normally kind of just let the players, they know what they're doing and they'll figure it out?
A bit of both. Like we try not to push the iPads on the players. It can be a bit of a distraction. A lot of times the players are looking, they're kind of seeing what happened their last shift. If I grab an iPad, it's kind of show them, what happened on maybe a chance against goal against, maybe more of from a defensive side of things, kind of this is where you need to be. But it can be a distraction, I think, at times for the players. Kind of, they want to come off, they look at the iPad, and they're maybe not ready for that next shift. So I think it's a bit of both. I think as an individual, they're looking at kind of what happened that last play, and as a coach, I'm just kind of showing them, what happened on a certain play that we got to make sure it can't happen again.
Are some players more receptive to your coaching and feedback than others, or is it they pretty good overall?
Yeah, they're good overall. I mean, again, sometimes when a player messes up, he messes up. You don't need to tell them. More of the little things, kind of maybe a system thing. Some guys want to see it. Some guys, don't need to see it. You can just, verbally tell them. Some guys need a visual. So you just kind of, it's more of a filling out process, kind of getting to know the players and what they need as individuals and how you approach them.
Is there anybody that you're a little harder on than some of the others?
I wouldn't say that. I think there's some guys that want to see more video than others. So over time, I've gotten to know which guys want to see video. Some guys will come to me and want to see video, and some guys will have to grab, and some guys, just keep away from the video for a few games just because they're trying to overthink and just kind of set button. Just it's over and done with. Let's go out and play right now.
Cool. So the coaching staff does not shy away from making line changes.
No.
how do you guys go into deciding when to do those and just how and what changes you're going to make?
I think every game is different. I think some nights when you're going, you don't want to touch anything. And some nights you're just bad in general. You make it for the sake of making changes. Other nights it's more from a matchup standpoint. As I said earlier, some nights if they're playing their bigger guys against the Aho line, that's where maybe you want a bigger body stretch there one night as opposed to going Jarvis, Aho, and Blake, and you need a Savech or Rantanen and those guys, at least a bigger body to kind of maybe go against their bigger guys. So and then some nights guys just aren't going, and you got to give them a wake up call and drop them down or whatever. So in a perfect world, I don't think you want to make as much changes as it happens throughout the game. You hope you go into the game and you got your lineup set, and that's the way it's going to get the job done. But again, some nights just aren't working, and you got to make an adjustment whether you're not playing well or they're playing well and they're getting a matchup that's not working for you. So it's every game's different.
Do you guys kind of have combinations potential combinations thought out ahead of time, or is it more kind of game by game? Like these two guys are going, we got to put somebody else with them to try to get them going, sort of thing?
Yeah, it's better. I mean, obviously, you look at Stahl and Martin have always been kind of linked together, and do you put Jarvis there? Do you put Svech there? Depending on the game. And then Aho is usually with Jarvis or so you kind of have your pairs, and maybe that third guy you're kind of rotating. And then there's some nights where you take Martinook off Jordan's line just because you put him with Aho because you're going to bring energy. He's going to get on the forecheck. He's going to drive the net, and maybe that's what that line needs that night. So as I said earlier, so every game's different, and you kind of make those changes, but. Those are the things that we think about, throughout the game or after a period.
We kind of joke that first line Martinook almost always leads to a goal.
Yeah.
So anytime you throw Martinook up there with Aho, somebody's going to score. Yeah. It might not be that line, but it'll happen.
Yeah, exactly.
So can you, thinking about the game planning in advance, can you just describe the coaches and players' process preparing for that next opponent?
Yeah, sure. So a typical game day, we'll meet in the morning before our morning skate and kind of give the team like a 10-minute video. We call it like a pre-scout of kind of what to expect from the opposing team that night. Whether it's a face-off play or the way they defend in the D zone, or maybe certain plays they look for offensively, or obviously some players to key on and what they really like to do. So that's usually a 10-minute video that we show. We usually do a power play meeting that morning. And then, around 5:30, before the game, we'll do a penalty kill meeting, then also a video, another real short video of just kind of how we play, the things we did the previous game that kind of translates to the next game, but also translate to this is the way the Hurricanes play. And whether that's some goals we score or the back check or just doing the little things that lead up to the win. So we show a lot of video, but it's not long. Anything longer than 10 minutes, the players tend to tune you out a little bit. Stall, and you can see them moving around. They start stretching. So we try to keep it short and to the point. And we have stuff written up on the board, power play breakouts, that kind of stuff. So the information is all there, whether it's a guy that needs to read it or needs to see a visual. And then once the game starts, we'll, after the first period, we may show 2 or 3 clips of kind of, what's kind of killing us that night or things that are working for us. Let's keep doing it. So there's always some type of visual or teaching aspect to kind of every day.
Very cool. All right, so we've seen a lot of milestones for players in coaching this year. Like 300 wins for Rod and the 500 games for Freddie. As a team, do you guys typically celebrate those, or are those more do you view them more as distractions?
No, I think they get recognized after the fact. I know the guys were all wearing t-shirts the other night for Freddie before warming up the 500 games, 300 wins. So stuff like it. The players recognize it. There's always, whether it's one of our PR guys kind of mentioned someone that was so and so's 100th goal or whatever. I think Burns had 900 points. I think couple weeks back. So stuff. You don't want to. Those are big milestones. And you just don't want to kind of look away and it's not like it's a big deal. I mean, it's a credit to those guys that, for the work they've done and as well as they played. I think it's Roddy does a real good job of recognizing that, whether it's right after the game or the next day. He doesn't let it go by without making a mention. And like I said, the guys, I think they plan all those T-shirts for Freddie and that kind of stuff. So it's when you play this game long enough, you get those milestones. It's a good thing to be recognized.
Cool. Ken, did Rod celebrate his 300th win, or?
So he's the opposite. He's the one guy that won't want to play. So he just,
that was what I felt like.
Yeah, he wants to pass it by. That's the type of guy he is. He wants to, he doesn't want. He wants to pass all the accolades or whatever off to the players and the staff and whatnot, and he just kind of. He doesn't want to be recognized. It's he's always team first and puts everyone on, whether it's the players or the staff, ahead of what he's done, and it should be the other way around because he's the one that's really driven this team the last few years.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
I feel like he'd be most excited for win number 16 come June.
Yeah, is kind of getting us to that point, and that's what drives him every day.
Yeah.
So assistant coaches, I mean, you guys normally fall by the wayside. You don't get much attention there. Do you have any milestones coming up or that you're looking forward to?
Not that I know. I don't. I'm just trying to stay healthy right now. Trying to get through the year. This no more injuries. That'd be my milestone. But no, I think it's we're all about the team. So
very cool. Thinking of healthy, I mean, so has that bug passed everybody? Does it seem like everybody's good on the team now, or do we still have some lingering?
The flu bug?
Yeah.
No, I think we're good. I think we got hit hard there for that 1 week. Obviously we dressed. I think one game was one guy short. I think. Aho and Hall all of a sudden came up, and that's when Suzuki came in.
Mm-hmm.
So we got hit hard for about a week there, and it kind of, once one guy gets it, it's going to matter time before it kind of trickles through that locker room, and we had a couple guys kind of play through it, and then it kind of got to the other side. Now with this break, I think all the guys should be, all systems go when we get back.
Good. Yeah, I know we saw, I think it was Corey Lavalette tweeted before the game that Rod told him everybody's in question tonight, and so we laughed pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, that's all the questions I have, fellas. Anything else you guys want to ask Jeff?
I'm good.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
Man.
My questions.
All right. Well,
very cool. Thank you, Coach. By the way, my son Peyton, I told him that I was talking to you again tonight and asked him if there was anything, and he just said, he was like, "Can you ask him if he'll coach me again one day?"
Is he still playing?
He is. Yep. Awesome. He's still playing. He's doing a local team and he's loving it. It's
awesome. Good to see that.
It's fun. So that First Goal program has been a life changer for our family. We're as big a hockey family as we were before. We're dived in even more. We
like to hear those stories, so it's good to hear.
It's been fun.
Awesome.
Well, Coach, do you have a favorite dad joke?
Dad joke? No, I'm bad with jokes. I always laugh when I hear a good joke. Then like the next day, I can't remember
it. These guys hate it, but I end every episode with a dad joke.
You won't be.
They're usually rough.
Let's see. This, I'm sure you guys know this. So why does Aho bring an extra pair of socks when he golfs? In case he gets a hole in one.
There you go.
I love having Coach even more now because he actually laughs. Thank you.
That was a pretty laugh.
I'll take it. Well, thank you all for listening to another episode of Storm Surge, the Carolina Hurricanes podcast on the Believe Network. We really appreciate you, and we will talk to you again soon.